Hi.
Hello.
Today we're responding to a comment that we received to one of our previous videos where we've been typed. And we've been typed as an SLE and II. In fact, both of us are IIs, which we wanted to discuss today, because that's quite interesting. Before we've been talking about development.
So essentially the question is, how come two people can be the same time but look slightly different?
Yeah. And especially, I guess, if you have just two people to look at, you would have an instinct to compare them.
And you would notice the slightest, because obviously everyone is an individual ultimately, but then, and I think we discussed this in a previous video about Jung, because the thing about socionics, it does describe a part of your personality. So if two of you are, let's say, ILEs, you're going to have that in common, which is arguably, the core of your personality anyway. So Socionics gives you that kind of, the kind of ultimate model of your psyche, as it were. But at the same time, there's always going to be individual, not within type, because obviously the type is something that you have in common, but as in there's other factors rather than just
it also, the type itself is the base of your personality. It's not your whole psyche or whatever.
Yeah, well, I said that.
Yeah.
But then there's other factors there's more to personality than just type. I think
but that taken into consideration still. People of the same type can look slightly different because they can have different aspects developed.
Yes.
So they will still have the lead in common, they will still have creative in common, they will still have a role in common, and the vulnerable in common. Those are always basically the same.
So the model A.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah.
But the rest of them are flexible and they can change, and they are mutually exclusive, as we said before. So in my case, I assume that I was typed as SLE last time. In my case, I have a C and TI developed, so I look more like an SLE, especially in contrast.
And this used to be quite, at least a couple of years ago, this used to be an idea that was shared among some, actually, in the socionics community, where people thought, well, yeah, duals can look the same.
Yeah, which makes sense.
Look the same.
I mean, it never was really explained. There was an idea of dualization, which was never explained how it works, and we, by observation, thought that it works, as in you can develop either your suggestive or mobilizing, or your ignoring and demonstrative. They're mutually exclusive. And so in my case, I have a C. Anna has more an E, but she has some a C and more an E.
Well, yeah, essentially, it is about how far, well, because, I mean, as we discussed in the previous video, you can develop the wrong aspects, the kind of aspects from the opposite quadrant, and that will result in a particular look. So there's different kind of, at least superficially, obviously.
Especially if you look like the dichotomous and stuff, you would look more sensory comparing to you, because you have double intuition.
I mean, people have an idea, hopefully the correct idea, of what an SLE looks like. So kind of daring, bold, more in your face kind of character. Yeah, and so obviously if you're an IEI who has SCTI developed, you're going to project that look as well, a little bit at least, like to some extent, depending on, well, sometimes basically.
I mean, also more logic, so like more structure.
Obviously, yeah, because it's quite noticeable when we talk as well. Like I'd be talking quite a lot of, I don't want to use rude words, but I can talk a lot, and then not really, and then you would actually kind of put structure what I say and be like, oh, you just like kind of bringing it to the point that I was trying to make. Well, I can go on tangents because of my NE. So
yeah, and it helps to catch one thought and go
You like to go like basically.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's dangers of typing two people of the same type differently because of different development.
Yeah.
And
then of course we slightly mentioned this, but then why do people end up having developed different, like for example, you ended up having more of your own, you know, the functions that of your quadra SCTI, whereas kind of I was more.
I mean, it's there are different factors to that, but one is exposure.
Yeah.
So the more you're exposed to your like dualizing aspects, you have more chance of developing it. Also, what you need to do in your life might vary. So
yeah. So
you either use one or another, and you end up developing it.
Circumstances, generally speaking.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
And also, yeah, there is that point of if you have your own dualizing aspects developed, then you can't, like, you still see the other two, but you don't produce them, so you look a lot less like, again, less intuition, less ethics that way.
I think we have an article on this, I'm not entirely sure, on type development, where we actually explain
I think so,
what it actually means, because there's a difference between being able to see, for example, we as IIs will always see Fi and Ni, because that's our demonstrative and ignoring functions. So we'll always be able to see them, but it's a whole other thing whether if you overdevelop them, like some of us can, that means you'll actually produce them in real life. It's not just you
produce
seeing them
and
as a background
them.
thing. You can produce them, or even look for them in real life. So yeah, I think we have an article on that. But yeah, totally.
Cool. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.
Bye.